welcome to the stage the incredibly talented Lauren Burke.
Thank you, Leah. Leah Bright, everyone. Woo! Thank you. Hello, Gusto Next. My name is Lauren, and I am a sales leader here within our accountant program. And I've had the privilege to meet many of you on this call today, but I also have seen some new names, so it's great to be here. One of my major focuses is to empower accountants and empower our accounting partners to become better advisors to their clients. So today, I have the privilege of deep diving on a particular client story. I'm going to share the story of one of our valued Gustomers, how we lovingly refer to our Gusto customers. So at Gusto, and for all of you accounting professionals tuning in today, we know what it means to hold the customer at the core of everything we do. One of the most fulfilling parts of my job is learning the small business stories, the passions, and when we're lucky, being able to see a business firsthand grow and flourish. Over the last decade, we've had customers that started side passion projects and grew them to businesses supported by hundreds of incredible employees. As we just heard from Emil, one of the main impediments to business growth is the talent shortage. But as we just heard from Leah, businesses can use Gusto as a tool in their tool belt to help jump the shortage and the shortage hurdle. But how? Well, meet Cortex Health and their team, founded by Josh and Riley, pictured here. In just a matter of months, Josh, Riley, and their team went from being an employer of 14 in one state to an employer of 500 employees across 44 states. Woo! Those are some pretty impressive numbers, right? Woo! Well, Cortex Health exists to improve healthcare outcomes. They do that by conducting HIPAA-compliant follow-up calls to patients, managing who to call, when to call, and what to say based on the preferences provided by each nurse. So we can understand why they've seen some massive growth in 2020, right? Well, what they did as they scaled is they continued to put their workers and their customer at the core of everything they do, people first. But this was not without its challenges. As you'll hear from Josh, recruiting, vetting, and onboarding staff was hard. Staying compliant as they expanded to 44 states was anxiety-producing, and they had no HR team. And they had to find high-touch ways to support their growing employee base, especially while dispersed through the US. So Gusto and Cortex were able to partner at just the right time. As many of you know, Gusto was originally built as a small business for small businesses. And we did that pretty well, all right? But we have evolved. We now have an incredible team of over 2,000 Gusties, our employees. These range from employees on the front lines serving our customers to those ferociously working behind the scenes to code our product and serve our customers as they scale. So I'd be curious, as you all think about this question right now, and go ahead and type those answers in chat. What size business do you feel is a fit for Gusto? Is it A, 9 or fewer employees? Is it B, 10 to 99 employees? Or is it C, over 100 employees? What do you guys think in the audience here? Over 100! Over 100! I got good news. What accountants and customers increasingly tell us is all of the above. In the past, you may have heard there was a 100 employee limit, no more. The investments that we've made mean that you can bring your growing businesses to Gusto and have hundreds of hardworking employees. We've built to scale to serve you, the accountant, and your clients more completely with a broader suite of products. So here's, woo, 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 woo. Yeah, I'm excited. Well, here's what we've been building. All right, just to name a few: Gusto performance reviews, job listing integrations, applicant tracking integrations, performance management, bring your own benefits broker, all states tax withholding overrides, R&D tax credits, Gusto wallet and cash out, embedded expense management, early direct deposit, multiple bank accounts, and a brand new process to make it easier to onboard your 10 plus employee businesses to Gusto. Woo! Just to name a few, yeah. But don't just take it from me. Let's hear what Josh has to say, and we'll go ahead and cut to the video.
Cortex marries two of my passions. Healthcare, which is something I grew to love, and as a nursing home administrator, saw lots of opportunity to make an impact in healthcare. And also, at my heart, I'm a nerd. I love technology. I love building things. I love tinkering. I do still software development in our company to this day, and I get to do both of those things every day at Cortex. We call ourselves a healthcare outcome company, and what that means is we help healthcare providers achieve repeatable healthcare outcomes. Typically, those can range from preventing readmissions all the way to retaining staff and improving employee relationships and engagement. COVID in hospital settings and nursing homes was not an easy experience for caregivers. And there were many nurses not in a position to continue offering care on the floor.
To keep my children safe in a time where it's so uncertain is just so vital. It's, you shouldn't have to choose to keep your children safe or to earn an income.
We had, again, all of these registered nurses that wanted to make follow-up phone calls and realized that maybe there was a way we could help with the pandemic.
I helped with the vaccine rollout in Miami-Dade County.
The fact that they could use their nursing license from home. We also go above and beyond to make shifts really, really flexible to meet their needs. I mean, we have shifts that are an hour and a half long because that's when they can work in between nap time.
As being a mom in the remote world, it does allow me to have the flexibility with my children. For example, if I want to take my 15-minute break and put my daughter down for a nap, I can do that.
Traditional follow-up call registered nurses actually do this from home as independent contractors. For the pandemic, we determined that we needed to hire all of these nurses. So for us, we went from a team of about 14 employees before the pandemic to 514 or so. The growth curve that we experienced in hiring 500 employees over the course of about 6 months was very challenging. Early on, the challenges we encountered were around recruiting and just vetting out staff. But what quickly became apparent is because we were willing to hire nurses across the United States, there were compliance landmines and just requirements that we didn't understand. And so Gusto, being our payroll provider for originally the 14 employees that we had, as we started adding more and more of these nurses as employees, Gusto started recommending things like, hey, are you set up for taxes correctly? And hey, have you done these 10 things that you need to do to pay people in the state of New York? I love your dashboard. It relieved so much anxiety and stress. All of a sudden we knew they seem to have all of the answers on how we get set up in what became 44 states. If you hadn't been there recommending that, it would have been states and cities and municipalities saying, you didn't do this thing you needed to do, here's a fine, or you're out of compliance. And that's an anxiety we didn't need. The employee surveys feature was actually really helpful.
I never felt like I had to shy away from what I was feeling or my thoughts.
We got really excited when we learned how much nurses enjoyed working with us.
It is a great place to work.
We realized there were probably more benefits that we needed to offer to our staff.
Life doesn't always go the way it's planned, and sometimes you need some emergency money, and to be able to grab that and know that it's yours, it's very satisfying to be able to do that and not have to go to a bank or pawn a title just to make ends meet.
All of those benefits, though, are administered through Gusto. Gusto became the system of record for how we hire and onboard people, and also the mechanism that we use to get feedback from our team. It just became central to how we do HR at Cortex.
It's a very user-friendly, simplistic piece of technology that is great for record keeping. You're able to easily know where to clock in, clock out. If you need to make that change to your time card, it's not a big deal. You just write your note and you're good to go.
Gusto very much was a partner in that process for us. We needed help from you almost every day, and my sense was you grew with us. You certainly rolled out features and benefits as we needed them. I think a medium-sized organization can absolutely use Gusto. It's so easy to run payroll. It's so easy to do compliance now. It's so easy to make sure that as you onboard people, you give them a great experience.
The fact that, it took on Cortex and like you said, it went from 10 to 500, and that's pretty massive.
I would say pre-COVID, we looked at Gusto as a payroll system. That is how we thought of it. I now look at Gusto as our outsourced HR partner.
Woo! Let's give it up for Josh and his team. Wow. I really love Cortex's story. A few things that really stood out to me. First is the number of women that they were able to keep in the workforce. Amidst the pandemic, female workforce participation dropped to 57%. The lowest level since 1988, according to the National Women's Law Center. Many women who have left similar stories to Janie's, but with one key difference. Women needed the ability to prioritize the safety of their families, and they needed that flexibility. Cortex offered that to Janie, and this hasn't been the case for many women. Second, that Josh recognized that they needed to offer better benefits to employees, and he did that by using Gusto's engagement surveys. Then he offered benefits that really mattered to Janie and her coworkers, and he did all of that using Gusto's suite of no-cost, low-cost, and premium benefits. And third, that the investments we are making in our recommendation engine are paying off, powered by artificial intelligence that gave him the peace of mind that he needed to support his employees through the pandemic and scale his incredible mission-driven business that is improving healthcare outcomes across the US. In closing, I hope you enjoyed Josh's story as much as I did. There has never been a better time to rethink how Gusto can serve your firm and your customers. And with that, I say thank you and go with Gusto.